What's good, y'all? I'm here to talk about the super sick buffs and changes I've made to Sandaconda, but before I get into anything regarding the typing, the abilities, all that good stuff, I will explain it in just a second, but I want to have a quick disclaimer for any new viewers. First of all, welcome to my channel. I appreciate you, clicking on the video. Make sure you sub, drop a like, drop a comment, all that stuff. I know it's annoying when people ask for it, but it really does make a big difference with getting my hacks more exposure, so please do that. If you're new here, I highly recommend you pause the video and read the description. I've got a lot of really important bullet points that'll explain the baseline balancing in this ROM hack. And then when you're done with the video, don't click off yet because it'll mess up the watch time. But when you're done with the video, I highly recommend you check out the Google Sheet link down below, as well as the other videos and playlists in the description. Most importantly, though, check out the move sheet on the Google Sheet. It's got all these categories for every single move, buff, and change in the game. I've reworked all the moves in the game, and of course, that heavily impacts how the Pokemon function. So yeah, with all that out of the way, Sandaconda, Dragon type. So, I mean, it's a relatively normal change. It's not like the most fitting thing of all time. The main reason I did this is so I can differentiate it more from Hippowdon. Excuse me. So not only are they a special attacker, which is enough of a difference, I still felt like, I don't know, there was a lot of pure ground types on my list of Mons. And I don't know, like, it was... If it was pure ground, it would basically just be like special attacking Hippowdon. Like, its abilities are basically the same as well. So, I don't know. I just wasn't a fan of it. And Dragon does make enough sense. I mean, it's a ROM hack moment where, like, sure, it's a big snake. It's in the Dragon Egg group. Shit like that can justify the Dragon typing in a ROM hack. And it's a big, big snake. So, I don't know. That's the logic for it. I'm not saying it should have been Dragon and Vanilla, but I think in a ROM hack context where I'm trying to make every single Pokemon unique from one another and all that fun stuff, I think it's justified. So, also, it is pretty fucking cool, I can't lie. So, yeah. I think it makes a lot more sense than, like, Seviper. I don't like when people make Seviper Dragon at all. I think Dark fits way more for Seviper. I will say, minor spoiler, Arbok will be Dragon purely for overlap reasons. I think Dark fits way better, but there's a lot of overlap and ability slot issues with, like, Quillfish and stuff. I'm not going to get into all that in this video. Just trust me when I say, yeah, Arbok will also be Dragon, so that matches Sandaconda as well. So that out of the way, he is more of a special attacker now. I flipped the offensive stats around. I think that's really fitting and cool offensively because his whole thing is about spraying and shooting sand. I guess he could attack physically by, like, I don't know, constricting and, like, I don't know, whipping his body around, I guess. Maybe biting a little bit, but his jaws don't look very strong. I would say the main way he's attacking, as you can see, is like he's blasting sand. He's like shooting sand, So I think that makes much more sense to be a special attacker. And then again, if you read the dex entry talking about like blowing away dump trucks and shit, I think that really fits Sheer Force. And I also give every single Pokemon 3 good ability slots that they can switch between whenever they need to. So again, in this case, you got that Sandstream for that utility, that team support. You override other weather conditions. You get, you get like a Rock-type Weather Ball, I guess. You get Sedimend healing you by 2/3 HP. Sedimend is Shore Up, so it heals you by 2/3 HP. Cool shit like that, right? And then, of course, what's it called? You can activate your teammates' abilities and then Weather Balls and all the other good stuff. So, and you get a little bit of chip damage. You guys know how Sandstream works. Of course, it doesn't boost your stats because it's not a rock type, but if you got Terra Rock, that'd be kind of dope. It'd be a really cool pull for Terra Rock. But yeah, and then lastly, Appetite. It's a snake. I was struggling to think of a third ability that fits and doesn't overlap with like Garchomp, for example, and Gabite, because I want Gabite to also be different for Garchomp. So I opted for Appetite. I think it fits well. Same with other mons like Arbok is also going to share Appetite because, snakes actually don't eat very much, but there's like that common association with like snakes and eating, like they swallow their prey whole or whatever. So I don't know. I think it makes enough sense. It's cool. And it's a good defensive utility ability. So Appetite is actually extremely versatile and can be used offensively and defensively. So Sheer Force is good for just raw damage boost, right? All of your Sheer Force boosted moves are bolded and underlined, so it's pretty easy to tell which ones are boosted. And I'll get into all the nitty-gritty of all the moves in just a second, but Appetite is great because you can switch it in with either Key or Moringa Berry, get +2 defense or special defense, which is really, really good in an in-game context, or you can get Citrus Berry. I'm sure all you guys who are like regular viewers of my videos are being like, dude, we get it, we know how Appetite works, because it's been like, several times me explaining the uses of it, but regardless, it's still worth mentioning. Engorge is obviously great. It gives you the fact you can use Pinch Berries without having to get into low HP range. Although, honestly, even just Endure plus Pinch Berries is great with Appetite. Or just because you're a tanky mon, you can just naturally get into that range, and you can use like Sediment to heal yourself, whatever you want to do. And that's a really good way as well to abuse it. And there's tons of cool utility stuff, which I'll get into in a bit as well. But yeah, Engorge is really cool. Also, Deflate is really cool with Appetite as well. Deflate giving it being a priority heal move, so you can use like Engorge plus Deflate plus like defense or SPDF boosting berry or a speed boosting berry or special attack boosting berry, and that could be really fun paired with your Appetite ability. So Appetite's super versatile, super fun ability. Probably, I would say, the one you'd be using a lot more than the other two. Sheer Force is still good for that immediate damage boost, and then Sandstream, of course, has its uses as well. The reason I swapped out Sand Spit, by the way, is because it is, like, Sand Spit's cool, don't get it twisted, I like the ability. It's just, it is kind of objectively inferior in 99% of cases. At least in an in-game context where it's easy to trigger. Obviously, I know that, like, Sand Spit in competitive can have uses because it wins the weather war or whatever shit, but that's not really a factor in this sort of context. So mostly it is just a worse version, and Sandstream does make sense for them anyway, so that's fine. Yeah, so Sandseer Storm, exclusive move. Really, I mean, on these guys especially, it's fucking sick. So it does require Wide Lens. However, he does have a lot of other moves that also benefit from Wide Lens. So Wide Lens is buffed, 25% accuracy boost. So Sandseer Storm, Focus Blast, Hurricane, and Dragon's Fury all won't miss with Wide Lens. So that's 3 coverage moves, and Stab, Dragon's Fury, 130 base power. Dragon's Fury and Sandseer Storm also both always burn, and then you got that Hurricane and Focus Blast for coverage, so I think that's super, super sick with Wide Lens. Really fun to abuse. You've also got like high base power, Sheer Force boosted moves like Stab, Dragon Pulse, and Earth Power, which are both 100 power. Draconic Beam at the end of the game, which is 120, recoil move. You know, you could do your good other coverage options. You've got Priority Twister and Gust and Mudshot. I would say a really good use for Appetite as well is Salakberry, by the way, because, again, it gives you that +2 speed. That's super, super good, especially with Engorge. But even without Engorge, you can just do Endure, Salak, and then get a couple kills. I also gave them Scorching Sands by level up, which most people, if you're returning and you are familiar with the way I do things, usually I don't make TMs level up moves because it's a waste of, like, space, and it's a waste of level up slots because, you know, like, the level up moves are already crowded. However, in cases where it's, like, a pure typed Pokemon and the only, you know, like, Sand Tomb is still here for early game, right? You've still got your Sand Tomb, 60 base power, 100% accurate, special move. That's really good. Stab, Mudshot, 45 base power. It's a priority move. Those are both really good early game ground stab. But then once you get to 20, Scorching Sands TM has 2 badges, right? So if you go to the level caps, basically because he's pure type, I feel like I should give him like an actual stronger than 60 base power stab move by level up, just in case certain paths, because for example 2 badges, it ranges from 18 to 24, so there's a couple paths where you won't have only one path gets you level 20 or earlier Scorching Sands. So I figured level 20 Scorching Sands because it's level 21 to 24 range, so that's why that's there. Earlier on. Other cool stuff like Heat Wave is there for flavor because, you know, he's like about blowing sand and wind, and he's like a desert snake, so I think that's really cool. It was either that or Flamethrower, but I think Heat Wave's a lot cooler. Sludge Bomb, I think, makes perfect sense for a TM at least. Good coverage with Sheer Force as well. And I already covered the Hurricane stuff. They've also got Aeroblast, which is 100% accurate. However, it's not Sheer Force boosted, but it's still a strong, you know, essentially 120 power flying move with no drawback, essentially. It can't be used twice in a row, which is the drawback. However, that's mostly so you can't spam it with, like, Scarf, which in this case isn't as big of a deal. Although, Sandaconda can actually abuse Scarf. I did have to drop the speed just a little bit just because I felt like anything lower than 60 attack is, like, just too low, logic-wise. Like, 40 doesn't make any sense. Like, he should still have, like, I don't know, 60 is like the bare minimum I see for them, right? But they were having some BST issues and whatnot, because I don't personally see them as hitting that 550 benchmark in terms of like the vibes they give off to me. So I gave them a big HP stat because they are super, super long, super big snake. So 107 HP is great. 125 defense is obviously incredible. And then even that 70 SPDF is very good with that 107 HP. And then obviously your special attack is very good now as well. Also stuff like Acid Spray in conjunction with Twister or Mudshot afterwards as priority. That's really cool. You can drop their SPDF and then hit those. You've also got Acid Reflux, which is the same thing as Acid Spray, but instead of dealing damage, it poisons, so that's really cool. Early game, we've also got some really cool physical options. You've also got Glare, which drops attack, special attack, and paralyzes, so that's a great utility option. Solar Cobra, so on top of having that, again, that early Scorching Sands level up, you've also got some other like early Coil, which is cool. You can use that either just purely to boost defense, or you can use it to use your lower physical attack stat, because you do have some cool, like, you know, you got early Power Whip, 120 base power move at level 24 is pretty sick. Some cool physical options, you know, tons of physical coverage in terms of the fangs and other stuff like that. So it's a fun little thing you could try out. So the Cobra keeps Appetite, which is incredible early. I mean, it's incredible for the whole game, right? Double Berry is always like, it's honestly borderline busted, I would say, in an in-game context. Sand Rush is just a nice little situational ability you can slap on once in a while if you need to outspeed things that you don't outspeed with like other methods. And then you got your Sand Spit, which is, you know, solid, old, reliable. You can use that with Sediment and other stuff. You've also got like Wrap for residual damage, Arcane Fangs to heal yourself a bit. If you don't want to use Sediment for whatever reason, maybe, I don't know, coverage, whatever. It's a niche little option. That's why it's level 1. Yeah, Dragon's Fury is cool. Deflate is really cool. So obviously flavor-wise, that's because Sandaconda's whole thing is like inflating this neck sack and blasting sand out of it. So that's the flavor for Deflate. I think that's a really cool move on him as well. It's pretty straightforward overall, honestly. Other cool coverage moves like Solar Beam is pretty neat, I think. Again, with I do like some beam type moves like Sludge Bomb, Mud Bomber, stuff like that because of his like nose cannons, you know. I can see him like shooting stuff out of him. Obviously that's where he shoots sand out of, but I can totally see him like making a heat wave with that. Rock type Weather Ball is already really cool, like I said, as well. 100 base power rock coverage. Obviously normally he would use stuff like Rock Slide and Stone Edge, but now that he's special, he does have that Weather Ball, so that's still a cool coverage option. And then I was gonna cover the Scarf speed tier, yeah. So again, I had to lower speed. Honestly, if it's up to me, I saw as low as like 41 speed, even 31 speed. Like this guy does not look like he could be very fast, in my opinion. I could have honestly, and I was debating lowering speed more for more bulk or special attack, but I opted to keep this decent speed tier because I do think Scarf is kind of neat for certain boss fights because 66 base speed in a competitive sense isn't very good with Scarf, but in game is very solid. So you're hitting 30-30, which is outspeeding base 100s. So that's really, I mean, that's great. You know, that's very solid. You also outspeed base 101 even. No, sorry, I lied. Only base 100. So that's pretty good though. And if you get a plus speed Sandaconda, then you're going crazy. Then you're going, you know, say you get, I don't know, any plus speed nature. Why can I not find one on this list right now? Yeah, so 363, that's much better. Then you're hitting like 115? Yeah, outspeeding 115. So that's really fast. So that would be even better. But even just neutral speed nature, you know, once in a while you can slap on a Scarf for a certain boss fight if you need to outspeed something specific. Again, with that sheer force plus, you know, 130, essentially, it becomes 130 base power, right? Because of sheer force. So Earth Power, Dragon Pulse, 130 power with sheer force. Sandseer Storm is also sheer force boosted, so I should have covered Sandseer Storm more. So that's an incredible utility move, and it's also great offensively. The main downside, again, that I covered earlier is that you have to hold that wide lens as a balancing factor because otherwise it's insanely broken, right? And it's still incredible. It's a very, very, very strong tool, even with the fact that you're burdened, quote unquote, by the wide lens. So yeah, you can just slap on that once in a while, or I would say most fights, even with if you're running wide lens at least, you're not intended to use that ever without the wide lens, of course, but yeah, strong. I mean, it's sheer force boosted, so you can either use it as like a sheer force boosted offensive tool to like just one-shot something with priority, or you can use it as a utility option to burn something, or you can use it to get something in range for a Twister / Mudshot / Gust follow-up, or even Creeping Strike technically, but any sort of priority move to follow up on basically after you click the Sandseer Storm to flinch and burn them. So tons of ways you can apply Sandseer Storm. That's also really good for like doubles, like Rhyme, super good for Rhyme because it's priority and spread, so it'll burn her Pokemon and flinch both of them. That's insane, super good tool. You've also got another double battle cheese move with Whirlwind, so this thing would be super good for Rhyme because it's got two like double battle cheeses, because Whirlwind essentially is a 1 PP phasing priority move, so you can use it to phase out. I mean, it's relatively niche in game versus in singles, but in the doubles it's very good for the few double fights that there are in the hack, because it does like negate that one side of the field for that whole turn. So that's super useful. Yeah, overall very fun Pokemon. Again, you got that good debuffing stuff like Glare and Scary Face, and also like Body Press for physical defense stuff. All types of fun ways you can abuse this guy. Engorge, bulky, offensive, fast, slow. I mean, so many fun ways you can build him. So thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. If you made it to the end, make sure you do drop a comment. I really do appreciate it if you guys do. And I'll be back for more coming up. Peace.